Have you ever heard of a hidden place shrouded in mystery that's been sealed shut for thousands of years? Legend has it that this gate will only open at the second coming of Jesus. Well, according to the story, that gate has just opened. But what secrets lie beyond it, and what does this mean for our future? Join me as we explore the history, prophecies, and chilling reality of this monumental event. Get ready, because this is one journey you won't want to miss. The Temple Mount is the most contested area in the world, held sacred by Jews, Christians, and Muslims. At the heart of this conflict is the Golden Gate, or in Hebrew, the Gate of Mercy. This gate was closed in 2003 by an Israeli court order to prevent illegal excavations and used by Hamas-affiliated groups. However, on February 14, 2019, the Jordanian Muslim Waqf, which has had administrative control of the Temple Mount since the Six-Day War in 1967, opened the gate for Muslim prayer. Despite Israel's efforts to close the structure, Palestinians continue to enter it. While Israel rejects any proposal from the Waqf to turn the gate into another mosque, the Muslim community aims to convert it into a prayer hall or an Islamic institute of learning. This is the current situation and background of the battle for the Golden Gate. This conflict is not new. It spans centuries and is seen by many as both a physical and spiritual battle. So why is this gate so important? Why has it been sealed shut twice? Why is there a cemetery in front of it? In this episode, we'll answer these questions and delve into the theological, historical, and archaeological significance of the Golden Gate. Let's begin. The old city of Jerusalem is surrounded by a large wall with 8 major gates. The Eastern Gate, also known as the Golden Gate or the Gate of Mercy, faces the Mount of Olives and stands out because it is sealed shut. Believed to be the oldest gate in the Old City, it once provided the most direct access to the Jewish temple area, making it a significant site for Jewish prayer. The Eastern Gate was sealed shut in 1541 by the Ottoman Sultan Suleiman. Before that, it had been closed in 810 by the Muslims, reopened in 1102 by the Crusaders, and walled up again by Saladin, the founder of the Ayyubid dynasty. The gate's exterior, as it remains from the 16th century, features a sealed double entrance leading into 2 vaulted halls. Despite its 16th century appearance, evidence suggests that this gate stands on the remains of an ancient gate built by Jews leading to Solomon's first temple. In Second Temple times, the Eastern Gate was called the Shushan Gate. According to Jewish tradition, the Jews returning from exile in the Babylonian and Persian empires carved an image of the Persian capital's palace on the Shushan Gate to honor the Persian kings for helping them rebuild the temple and Jerusalem. But why is this gate so important? Standing next to this magnificent structure can send shivers down your spine as you imagine the future event that many believe could happen here. Opposite the Golden Gate on the Mount of Olives lies a vast Jewish cemetery. Many religious Jews desire to be buried here because, according to the Bible, this is where the Jewish Messiah will come to establish his everlasting kingdom. This tradition is tied to an ancient prophecy by the Jewish prophet Zechariah, who foretold that the Messiah would arrive and stand on the Mount of Olives. Zechariah 14:4 says, "And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall split in the middle toward the east and toward the west, and there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall move toward the north and half toward the south." When the Messiah comes, a massive resurrection of the righteous dead is expected, and those buried on the Mount of Olives will witness the Messiah first. It's no wonder burial plots here are incredibly expensive. Furthermore, according to the prophet Ezekiel, after the Messiah descends on the Mount of Olives, he will enter the temple through the Eastern Gate. Ezekiel 44 states, "Then said the Lord unto me, This gate shall be shut, it shall not be opened, and no man shall enter by it, because the Lord the God of Israel hath entered by it, therefore it shall be shut. It is for the prince he shall sit in it to eat bread before the Lord. He shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate, and shall go out by the same way." Ezekiel also writes that the glory of God will re-enter the temple through the eastern gate in the final days. Ezekiel 43:4 reads, "And the glory of the Lord came into the house by the way of the gate which faces east." This gate's importance extends beyond future events to its significant role in history. Since biblical times, the Eastern Gate has played a part in God's plan of atonement and redemption, particularly during the Yom Kippur, or the Day of Atonement. The high priest would perform purification rituals on the Mount of Olives and could see through the Shushan Gate into the temple sanctuary. On Yom Kippur, 2 goats were purchased at the East Gate. One was sacrificed to atone for the sins of Israel, and the other, the scapegoat, was sent out through this gate into the wilderness after the high priest transferred the sins of the people onto it. This ritual underscores the gate's critical role in atonement practices. For Christians, the Eastern Gate holds additional significance. According to the New Testament, while the Old Covenant scapegoat left through this gate, Jesus entered through it, ushering in a new covenant. Zechariah 9:9 says, "Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion, shout in triumph, O daughter of Jerusalem. Look, your king is coming to you. He is righteous and victorious, humble and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey." Jesus entered Jerusalem through the Eastern Gate on Palm Sunday, the day Passover lambs were selected, and was later crucified, fulfilling the prophecy in Isaiah 53. This event marked the new covenant atonement for all mankind's sins. However, the same crowd that celebrated his arrival soon demanded his crucifixion. Christians believe he will return, and this time his coming will be different. These events fulfill specific end-time prophecies from the Hebrew Scriptures. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, the reasons for the gate's closure remain uncertain. When Suleiman the Magnificent rebuilt Jerusalem's walls in the 1500s, rumors about the Messiah's coming prompted him to consult rabbis, who explained that the Messiah would enter through the Eastern Gate. To prevent this, Suleiman sealed the gate and placed a cemetery in front, knowing that Jewish law prohibits priests from entering cemeteries, thus aiming to keep the Messiah out. Suleiman's decision to close the Golden Gate in 1541 has sparked much speculation. Some suggest it was a strategic military move to reinforce the city's defenses. Others believe it was a response to eschatological prophecies, aiming to prevent the prophesied arrival of the Jewish Messiah. Military strategy. Suleiman's era was marked by significant architectural and military projects to fortify the Ottoman Empire. Sealing the Golden Gate could have been a practical decision to strengthen Jerusalem's eastern defenses against potential invaders. This gate, facing the Mount of Olives and aligned with the ancient temple, was a critical access point, religious and prophetic significance. The Golden Gate's eschatological implications are profound across Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions. For Jews, the gate is tied to the Messiah's coming. Christians believe Jesus will return through this gate in his second coming. Islamic tradition also acknowledges its historical significance. Suleiman, aware of these prophecies, may have sealed the gate and placed a Muslim cemetery in front of it to prevent the Messiah from entering, as Jewish law forbids a Cohen, priest, from entering a cemetery. Suleiman's legacy. Suleiman's sealing of the Golden Gate profoundly impacted Jerusalem's religious landscape. The gate symbolizes the city's intertwined histories and the complex interplay of faith, prophecy, and politics. While physically closed, its symbolic significance resonates deeply across the Abrahamic faiths. Modern implications. The reopening of the Golden Gate by the Jordanian Muslim Waqf in 2019 marked a significant moment in the ongoing history of the Temple Mount, underscoring the enduring religious, political, and cultural tensions that characterize this sacred and contested site. This event was not just a historical footnote, it reflected deep-seated issues that resonate across different communities and have far-reaching implications. Religious significance and controversy. For Muslims, the Golden Gate, or Bab al-Rahmah, is part of the Haram al-Sharif, the noble sanctuary, which includes the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock. The reopening of the gate for Muslim prayers was seen as a reclamation of a sacred space and an assertion of religious rights. However, this move was met with significant opposition from Israeli authorities, who viewed it as a potential flashpoint for unrest and a challenge to their control over the site. The gate's reopening reignited historical grievances and underscored the conflicting religious narratives that converge on the Temple Mount. For Jews, the Temple Mount is the site of the first and second temples, the holiest places in Judaism. The possibility of any changes to the status quo on the Temple Mount is deeply sensitive and has the potential to provoke strong reactions from various religious and nationalist groups. Geopolitical ramifications. The decision to reopen the Golden Gate was not made in a vacuum, but against the backdrop of broader geopolitical dynamics. The Temple Mount is a microcosm of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and actions taken here are often viewed through the lens of this larger struggle. The Waqf's actions were seen by many Palestinians as a defiant assertion of sovereignty in the face of Israeli policies perceived as restrictive and discriminatory. From the Israeli perspective, maintaining control over the Temple Mount is both a security and a political priority. The reopening of the gate was perceived as a direct challenge to Israeli authority and raised concerns about the potential for increased violence. Historically, changes to the status quo at religious sites in Jerusalem have often led to broader unrest, making the management of these sites a critical issue for Israeli authorities. Legal and diplomatic dimensions. Legally, the status of the Temple Mount is complex, governed by a web of international agreements, local laws and religious edicts. The 1967 Six-Day War, which resulted in Israeli control over East Jerusalem, including the Old City, also led to an arrangement where the Waqf would continue to administer the Temple Mount's religious functions, while Israel maintained overall security control. This delicate balance has been the subject of constant negotiation and occasional conflict. Diplomatically, the reopening of the Golden Gate has implications beyond Israel and Palestine. Jordan, which oversees the Waqf, is a key player in this issue. The Hashemite kingdom has a special role as the custodian of Islamic and Christian holy sites in Jerusalem, a status that is recognized in its peace treaty with Israel. The actions of the Waqf can therefore affect Jordanian-Israeli relations, as well as Jordan's standing in the broader Arab and Muslim worlds. Historical and archaeological perspectives. The Golden Gate is not just a contemporary flashpoint, but also a site of immense historical and archaeological significance. Its closure and reopening are the latest episodes in a long history that dates back centuries. The gate's origins, possibly tracing back to the First Temple period, make it a subject of intense interest for historians and archaeologists. Archaeological studies of the gate and the surrounding areas provide insights into the ancient city of Jerusalem, its religious practices, and its architectural evolution. These findings are crucial for understanding the gate's historical significance and its role in the religious life of ancient Jerusalem. However, archaeological work in such a politically sensitive area is fraught with challenges, as different groups may interpret findings in ways that support their own narratives and claims. Cultural and social impact. The reopening of the Golden Gate also has a profound cultural and social impact on the communities involved. For Palestinians, particularly those in East Jerusalem, the gate's reopening was a powerful symbol of resistance and resilience. It reinforced their connection to the city and its holy sites amidst a broader context of political and social struggles. For Israelis, the event underscored the complexities of managing a city that is sacred to multiple religions and the challenges of maintaining security and order in such a charged environment. It also highlighted the importance of Jerusalem in Israeli national identity and the deep-rooted historical and religious ties to the city. Future outlook. Looking ahead, the status of the Golden Gate and the broader Temple Mount area will continue to be a barometer of Israeli-Palestinian relations. Any changes to the status quo, whether perceived or real, have the potential to trigger significant unrest and impact the broader peace process. The international community, including key players like the United States, the European Union, and regional actors, will continue to watch developments closely, recognizing the site's importance not just to the immediate parties, but to global peace and stability. In conclusion, the reopening of the Golden Gate by the Jordanian Muslim Waqf in 2019 is a testament to the gate's enduring significance. It highlights the complex interplay of religion, politics, and history that defines the Temple Mount. As a focal point of religious devotion and geopolitical contention, the Golden Gate will remain a critical issue for all those who hold Jerusalem dear. The Gate in Archaeology and Theology. Archaeological evidence suggests the current Golden Gate is built on the foundations of much older gates, possibly dating back to the First Temple period. This aligns with biblical descriptions and ancient Jewish writings, indicating the gate has always been central to Jerusalem's sacred geography. Theologically, the gate represents both departure and arrival. For ancient Jews, it was the path for the scapegoat on Yom Kippur, symbolizing sin's removal from the community. For Christians, it is the gate through which Jesus entered Jerusalem, heralding a new covenant. Many anticipate the Messiah's return through this gate, a future event filled with hope and expectation. Conclusion. The Golden Gate of Jerusalem stands as a testament to the city's rich and tumultuous history. Its ceiling by Suleiman the Magnificent reflects the intricate tapestry of faith, prophecy, and politics that has shaped Jerusalem over the millennia. Whether viewed as a strategic military decision or a profound religious act, the closure of the Golden Gate continues to evoke deep religious significance and anticipation. As we look to the future, the fate of the Golden Gate remains intertwined with the broader narrative of Jerusalem, a city that stands at the crossroads of history and prophecy.